You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian from OptionPit.com, Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com, and Henry the Flowmaster Schwartz from SIBO. The Option Block is brought to you by SIBO. SIBO's suite of S&P 500 index options, SPX and mini S&P 500 XSP options, allows traders to speculate on the direction of the market, generate income, and hedge for downside protection of their portfolio of stocks. No matter what kind of trader you are, there's plenty of useful information to take the guesswork out of creating your portfolio strategy and to help you make more educated moves in the market. Visit www.sibo.com/SPX today to learn more. The views expressed herein are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of CBOE Global Markets Incorporated or any of its subsidiaries, collectively CBOE. The information provided is for general education and information purposes only. There are important risks associated with transacting in any of the CBOE products or any of the digital assets discussed here. Before engaging in any transactions in those products or digital assets, it is important for market participants to carefully review the disclosures and disclaimers contained at www.cboe.com/US_disclaimers. These products and digital assets are complex and are suitable only for sophisticated market participants. These products involve the risk of loss, which can be substantial and, depending on the type of product, can exceed the amount of money deposited in establishing the position. Market participants should put at risk only funds they can afford to lose without affecting their lifestyle. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody. That music means we are back once again. It is Monday. We're back. Yes, we're back. Did you miss us? Back once again for everyone's favorite bi-weekly source for all things options related. Yup, it is time for the Option Block, what the cool kids call the old OB. My name, of course, Mark Longo from the OptionsInsider.com, as well as from the network upon which a lot of you folks were enjoying a lot of on-demand stuff last week. We kept you fed last week, even if there were no live shows last week. Crazy dust up at the start of the week. So for all of you out there who are looking forward to a little dose of OB and the crypto rundown to start your week and didn't get it last week, I do apologize, but it was literally out of our hands. The weather gods struck. It's not very often you have plans later that day and the airline actually proactively contacts you and says, this is looking pretty terrible. We're probably going to cancel that flight. If you want to move, you got to move now or you're out of luck. And it was one of those kind of things. So it kind of threw our whole day down the toilet, listeners. We had to move everything around out there. But you got a lot of fun stuff last week on the on-demand side, including some fun mid-year check-ins and updates, which is always fun to do. Hard to believe we're already at that mid-year point of the year, but that's where we are. So hopefully you enjoyed those check-ins on how you folks have voted on the big issues of the day, as well as how are the trends shaping up on the options front. As the Rock Lobster, has he managed to make Maine the #1 spot for options search interest yet again in the first half of 2025? Well, you got to tune in to that episode to find out. Speaking of the Rock Lobster, we are joined by him, as well as by the uncleist of Mike's, Mr. Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, joining us. They got their fingers on the buzzers. By the way, if I sound a little under the weather, I can't even talk today. If I sound a little under the weather, it's because I am. I'm fighting out from under something. Something took me out at the end of the sojourn last week, listeners. It hit me pretty hard, but I kind of didn't move at all yesterday. I'm feeling a little bit better today, so I'm fighting the good college fight for you to get your 2 shows in today. But I'll probably drop after these 2 shows. But nonetheless, the show gods are calling. It is time for the 80s Trivia Challenge. Here we go. All right, everybody, let's get down to it. I have the card in hand. I could ask him. I think it's mostly a formality at this point. I think we all know what he's going to choose. But Uncle Mike, as our current loser, which color do you choose for your Trivia Challenge?
Well, I mean, I kept thinking about doing something different, but the problem is that I think Andrew would get me in any other category. So I'm stuck doing sports and leisure since we're doing all these lowbrow type of trivia things.
You've dug yourself into a hole from which there is no escape. All right, sir. Get your hands on the buzzers, both of you. Here we go. We're going out to baseball this time. This is interesting. That actually would count as sports and leisure. What New York Yankees star struck out 1,710 times in his career?
Buzz.
Andrew, buzzing already. Go for it.
Babe Ruth.
Wow. A good guess. A Yankee star, but not the right one. Uncle Mike, can you steal?
Was that the full question?
That's the full question. What New York Yankees star struck out 1,710 times in his career?
This is 80s, correct?
No, this is just Yankees. These were written in the 80s, but they usually predate.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that so it wasn't that. I will go with not Babe Ruth. I'll go with Mickey Mantle.
Oh, circle gets the square. Uncle Mike gets it. Finally, point.
That was my number 2. Damn, the Mick.
There's a few guys you think of, right? You think of him. You think of Joe DiMaggio, maybe. I was like, did Lou Gehrig play long enough to strike out that many times? I don't know. Maybe he didn't.
Well,
he was one I thought about.
The most at 2,000 games.
Yeah,
he did.
So yeah, I was thinking it could have been Lucas. There's a lot of names you could have thrown in there, but nonetheless, Uncle Mike, it's maybe starting to claw his way out from the basement as we claw our way into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the Trading Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Trading Block, the portion of the show where we break down what the heck is trading, what is lighting up our tape. Did you get that? Did you know it was good old Mickey Mantle, number 7, the person who George Costanza wanted to name his kid after on the Seinfeld show 7? Yes. Looks like the market is kind of trying to claw its way a lot lower today. So apparently I go away for a week, and Uncle Mike's Facebook cabal did a pretty good job last week, but now I guess they're exhausted. Maybe they can't find their box of upticks. Either way, we have a rare bit of red on the screen. S&P off nearly a full percent, about 0.85% right now. NASDAQ off about 0.9%. Dow off over 1, about 1.1%. And our old pal Bix Cash, when we kicked off the show, was at an 18.15. That puts it at about a 7, up 1 3/4, I should say, from our last show. That has ticked up even more to about an 18 1/4. So it puts it up about 1.85 points. So we're getting a little frothy out there. It seems like we're doing the tariff dance yet again. And remember, we punted the ball back from a few months ago to around this time frame. Everyone's wondering if Trump is going to punt again, if they're going to come to some sort of arrangement. Sounds like he just slapped some tariffs on Japan and South Korea, 25%, I believe. So we're starting to get back into that back and forth tariff tantrum, call it what you will, but the market's not liking it. Vol getting a little spicier as a result. VVIX 97, up about 8 points from where it was this time last week. So a red start to the trading week. Uncle Mike as our victor on the day, a rare time for me to say that. What are your thoughts? What's going on with your Facebook cabal? How come they can't offset this, sir?
So a couple things. It's the tariff seems to be the current information that's putting the market down. But let's just be honest. We've had quite the rally lately, and whenever you get a rally, you're going to have a pullback in some way, shape, or form. And so just if you're looking at a chart of the S&P 500 for the last week, let's say, we are in the same territory right now as we were on Wednesday. And so when we get the crazy rallies like we have, it's not going to go up every day, constantly, all the time, no matter how good my Facebook kebab is. And actually, I think I'm more of a Twitter kebab anyway. But anyway, so it's a pullback. And I think if this was the tariff news with Japan and Korea, I think that's just more of kind of the excuse for the day, is for the market looking for a reason to go down. But my personal opinion as to why we're going down, just we've been going straight up over the course of the last few weeks. And so we're going to get a pullback at some stage. But one of the things that we have noticed is that when the markets are down on the day, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to stay down on the day. We have had buyers come in when markets are down, even in the last couple of weeks. So that might be the case today. Last night, the futures were down, I believe, 30 points at one point. And we're only 20 points below that right now. So I just think it's a pullback on the day today. Nothing too crazy with it. We're not getting a major reaction out of silver or gold. They're both down just fractionally on the day. Bonds are down a little bit, so there's a little bit of selling going on there. So I just feel that this is something that at some stage people want to take profits. And so this is where you're taking profits. A couple of names or in terms of looking at the sectors. There's really energy's down 1.5%, and we have consumer discretionaries down 1.5%. But overall, there's no one thing that's really driving everything down. I think this is just a good old-fashioned pullback, and I'll be interested to see how we react to it. The other thing to consider is that the rally with which we had last week is on a holiday week. Typically, volumes are not as high during holiday weeks, so could just be that more people are coming in trying to straighten things out, if you will. But for now, we are where we are.
I like your notion of a Facebook kebab. If I wasn't so under the weather, it would make me hungry, sir. The Facebook kebab. It sounds tasty. Mr. Rock Lobster, do you have any fun conspiratorial kebabs lurking up your sleeve, sir?
Well, I thought this was an interesting weekend. So I feel like there's a bit of a 3-card Monty going on. So you sign the big better tax bill, or whatever that was, might be the most ridiculous bill the Republican Party has ever. And I'm quite like. And I'm definitely lean more conservative than not, but it might be the stupidest bill ever passed. And I think today might be a small reaction to that. I think to be honest, I think voters, but maybe they don't care. We're expecting a little better, and I think we just got basically the worst of government.
What did you like about the bill?
Huh?
What were the highlights of the bill you didn't like?
I don't like the fact that the Republicans say they are they're like, fiscally conservative and all this crap, and they pass a bill that just jacks spending up. That they insist on trying to get to COVID level spending. It is absolutely absurd. Also, the way the tax policy, again, like pushing up all the SALT deductions and stuff. Again, that was one of the more progressive, and I'm not a tax person. Like, I don't think we should all be taxed, but one of the better taxes, and they dumped it. Because it was it was an actual tax where, revenue from people making extra dollars. Stuff like that. It's just the fact that they passed something like that. Did it keep some of the the tax cuts that Trump put out that were generally pro-growth? Yes, but there's nothing done to control spending. Nothing. There is some trying to get Medicaid rolls back to the 2020 levels, which I'd say was a positive. Basically trying to get all the, duder couch surfers off of Medicaid and food stamps. I applaud that part. But for the most part, with the mandate they had, with the majority they had, and the sitting president, all behind to actually make a concerted push to cut spending and reduce the size of the government. They failed, in my view. Total failure. There you go. That's what I think. And I think the market's reacting. There might have been a little hopium on some sort of improvement, but basically they took the House bill and made it worse, the Senate. They just put more stupid crap in it. They haven't passed any DOGE spending cuts yet. And despite the effort and push, they're not doing that. So as a country, how long can we sustain budget deficits of this size without changing behavior? I think it's long-term, just extremely poor policy, and I've been saying it for years. The Fed enabling with all their ridiculous QE stuff, just as bad from 2010 to 2020. I mean, like the list goes on. Anyway, there will be a point where the government does not play such a huge role, but now, like, they're so big, spending is so big. I think it's starting to slowly dominate the economy. And I just don't see the government as a good spender of money. But again, this is just soapbox crap, doesn't mean anything. Ultimately, though, another thing that was kind of weird, there's no Epstein client list. And again, these are all like weird sentiment things, but I feel like you got the bill passed, then you announce this like we're going to get past it. I don't know. Maybe it's not a big deal for people, but I think there was kind of a law and order thing going on there. And then it's just like, it sort of went under the rug. Again, I don't know. I don't have any big thoughts about it, but I found these things, these were campaign promises, not happening. And I'm not surprised when politicians break campaign promises, but again, this is like not a great news weekend, although they're going to say the BBB bill was a big positive for the Trump administration. So ultimately, but you know what I do is I look at what the market thinks. Okay. Market's down a little, vol is up a little bit. Now, is it because we had probably 350 unanswered points in SPX over the last 2 weeks? Probably. So I don't disagree with Mike there. I think the Republican Party could have done a better job trying to rein spending in somewhere around 2020 levels and kind of right the ship. And we're all going to pay for it eventually. Just depends how and when. It's like, historically, it's never not, like the piper has not ever not been paid when governments keep doing this stupid stuff and they just keep spending. So I'm of the, and at least for now, bonds have gone down now. Bond prices have gone down for a few days, right? There was a rally possibly for a while on a better budget deal, but now rates are going back up. So we'll see what happens. Again, I think the market wants to rally on all the potential AI benefits and all that kind of stuff, which I think is very bullish. It could be big changes, and right now, at least as for today, I think we got less out of our elected officials than we would have liked. That's all I'm going to say. I was a little disappointed in the whole thing, but the market is only 1% off of all-time highs. VIX is still waiting for our July 9th trade deadline, which now might be August 1st. So there's a lot of, we're just sitting here waiting, like the market's sitting here waiting. So as an investor, I think, you can buy the dips and keep going along. Trading, you just got to, you trade what's moving up and moving down, and that's what we got. But we just not, it's kind of the market kind of going sideways is not super exciting from a trading point of view. But there we are on a Monday. A Monday after what should have been a pretty blockbuster newsy weekend, moving VIX and volatility around, maybe lower, but it has not materialized yet. So it is more of a wait and see market again.
Our chat is telling you, Mr. Rock Lobster, to cheer up. You can always vote for Musk's new third party star. So there you go.
Oh,
we can all
not
just
sure.
veto.
I'm not sure if more is better at this point.
I think we all agree. I think they probably need more parties, whether Musk is the guy to do that. But at the end of the day, you probably need some resources to kickstart a new party. So maybe this is
term
the
limits. We just need term limits.
Yeah, good luck getting any existing party to limit themselves. I don't see that happening.
Well, I agree. I mean, if he wants to throw money at something, throw it at that.
That would be nice.
Think already, there's 14 states already have laws on the books that would accept term limits for politicians. You only need 34 more. So I'm just saying you're a quarter of the way there already.
Some happy medium between like us with 2 and Italy with 500 parties. There's got to be some happy medium. Let's try a third and see what happens.
Again, I don't think more is going to be better in this case, but I think we just need him to serve less time. It's become too good of a grift for the average politician of either party.
There is a bit of a grift factor at work there, listeners. All right, listeners, can my voice hold up for the rest of this segment? Let's find out together, shall we? Let's head out to VIX land first. Is today's little bit of spice on the docket lighting up the tape? The answer is yeah, it looks pretty respectable. 430,000 contracts on the tape in VIX land, so that's nothing to sneeze at. The ADV is ticking back up to 745 again, which is decent heading into July. Usually this is kind of a lazy summertime, not much going on. You maybe expect an ADV of 6 something, maybe even a little lower this time of year. So 745, respectable. If you're wondering what the big dog is out there today, it is almost 50,000 of the Rock Lobster's favorites. Those July 17 puts going up for prices again. Looks like around 30 cents is the average price for those bad boys. So interesting. I think we're going to put a flash poll out about that. I'll see what you folks have to say. You like that? 30 cents? You'd be buying those? These are expiring on the 16th. So next week, obviously. You down for a little bit of buy-in? You sell them as part of the vertical? Or are you just kind of out on VIX puts right now? I'm curious. Number 2, the July 19 puts going up 21,000 times today. Number 3, 18,000 of the OC 23s. That's a weird one. Number 4, 17,000 of the AUG 16.5 puts. And number 5, 16,000 of the SEP 40s. So we are literally all over the place in our top 5 in VIX today. SPY looking hot. 5.3 million. I guess a little bit of red is what the index needed for some volume numbers. Everyone's coming back from vacation as well, and they're just ready to trade. 5.3 million contracts on the tape already. The ADV 8.5 million. Definitely seem like on pace to hit that. The S 2.35 million. The ADV 3.63 million. So the S looking pretty spicy as well. The small caps IWM 1.13 million. Did you enjoy our deep dive into all things small caps? Russell Recon on Twifo a few weeks ago. If not, check it out. They're going to make it a semi-annual event pretty soon. I was teasing them about quarterly and then eventually monthly. I don't know if they were receptive to my jokes, but I think we're going to see more Russell reconstitutions in the future rather than less. Check that out if you haven't yet. Small caps, 1.13 million contracts on the tape today. The ADV, 1.18 million. So if I re-racked it right now, I might even be there. The Qs, 2.26 million. So weirdly enough, the Qs hanging out pretty much exactly where we expect them this time of show. The ADV 3.68 million. Out to the single names we go. Is it a banger? Yeah, the answer is decent. 305,000. That's north of our respectability bar of 250. That gets us to Hood. Man, Robinhood has been on the rampage of late. 92.98, selling off $1.50 or about 1.5% today. Man, it's been on a nice run. It's up 7.25 handles or 8.5% just over the past 5 days. So a nice run for them. They did hit 100 last week, 100.88. So the thin week looking good for them. They came out with some tokens last week. They had one of their Robinhood Presents. Oh, that's right. They're talking about tokens for OpenAI. Then a lot of people slammed it, saying it was nonsense. So yeah, a little bit of drama on the Robinhood front, but nonetheless, it's a good week for them. Always interesting when these financial companies try to pivot and kind of sell themselves, having these presents like they're a tech company. It worked for WeWork. Looks like it's working for Robinhood, at least for right now. Number 10, 305 on the tape. For Robinhood, number 9, AMD, 135.13, off 278 or about 2%. Good for 9, 365 on the tape today. Number 8, back out to Core Scientific we go. Ticker symbol CORZ, 15.06 today, off nearly $3 or 16.33%. They're off about $2 over the last 5 days. Number 8, CORZ, 385. They've been part of this drama with Google out there, and it's been elevating them into the top 10 quite a bit of late. Number 7, old pal SoFi, 1902, $19 for SoFi now, up about half a buck or 2.5%. They're up $1.30 or about 8% since the start of last week. So a nice little run out there for them. Year to date, they're up about $5 or nearly 35%. So nice little run for SoFi. Number 7, 385 on the tape. Number 6, the Monster, looking a little bit less monstrous today, 400.68, off about 3 1/3 or not even 1% today. Over the last week, it's up about $12.5 or 3 1/4%. So a good little run for them. We heard some talks about them not buying Bitcoin over this recent period for the first time in a while. Interesting stuff. Maybe we'll get more into that fun a little bit later on the crypto rundown. Either way, number 6, the Monster, 426. Number 5, it's Palantir, 431, 138.10, up 3 3/4 or 2 3/4% just today. So a nice little pop for them. Over the past week, they're kind of unched, only up about 1/3 of a buck. So they've been struggling. Can they keep up with the big dog, NVIDIA? Well, I guess we'll get there in a second. Number 5, Palantir, 431. Number 4, the Amazonians, 223, even off about 1/3 of a buck today. Over the past week, they've kind of been treading water a little bit as well. Number 4, the Amazonians, 442 on the tape. Number 3, let's go out to Fruitland. They've had a nice little run. They were treading water right around the par strike when we last talked about them on the show. At 210 1/4 today, off about, actually just dipped again, 209.64, off nearly $4. But that means they had a nice run well north of 200. They got up to about 214 1/3, it looks like, last week. So the holiday week, maybe because of all that F1 love. I don't know what was carrying Apple. Apple higher. I mean, it's not like that's really accreting to Apple's bottom line. It's got to make, $600 million globally to break even. But nonetheless, the stock had a nice little run on a thin week last week, got up to about 214 1/3. Coming back down to earth today, off nearly $4, 1.81%. North of that par strike, though, which is kind of interesting. Number 3, Apple, 602 on the tape today. That means number 2 and number 1. Who's holding down what spot? Number 2, is it? Drumroll. It's not Tesla. It is NVIDIA. NVIDIA falling to number 2 today. Only 1.19 million. Kind of a quiet day for them. 158 1/3, so up about $20 from where Palantir is trading right now. So if we did that poll again, NVIDIA taking them to the woodshed. They're off about $1 today. On the past week or so, they're kind of treading water as well. They haven't really net moved much. That means the big dog is Tesla. You heard the story. I was just joking with the Rock Lobster earlier. Musk threatening to launch his own third party. We saw this back in the day with Perot and his party as well. Folks at Tesla not liking this. 292 1/3, off about $23 or 7.3%. Some interesting stuff out there. Maybe that'd be a fun, as we don't get political here, but it might be kind of fun to see. Do we need a third party in the U.S.? I tend to lean yes. I think the notion that 2 parties somehow encapsulates the entirety of the modern political spectrum is absurd. Whether Musk is the guy, I mean, you don't have to like Musk, I think, to agree maybe we need a third party. And obviously it takes some financial muscle to make something like this happen. So it's an interesting idea. Either way, Tesla number 1 today, 1.88 million. Speaking of numbers, we were obviously off last week, so let's dive into a little bit of the hot numbers from our friends over there at OCC. For the month of June, was June a banger, listeners? The answer is yes. I mean, 1.1 billion contracts with the B. That is nothing to sneeze at. That's up almost 21% from June of 2024 at 917 million contracts. So just a hot, spicy month in June. If you want some further category breakdowns, equity options up 16.6% in June. ETF options looking hot, up 27.5%. Index options, which have been flagging a little bit in terms of growth percentage compared to the other categories, stealing a march again in June, up 25% year over year. And again, total volume up about 21%. Weirdly enough, yet another black month for the futures, the VIX futures, off nearly 17%. Russell was talking about that on Vol Views a few weeks ago. He and I were chatting about that notion of just, because we saw this again with some earlier numbers this year as well, and May in particular, and he was talking about how when we see some spice in the vol markets, when things get spicy like they did in April, he's noticed after that volume in the futures kind of falls off a cliff for a while. After something he noticed first back when he was at the SIBO. So it seems like we are still living in that trough period for VIX futures volume. Nobody wants to touch them. 3.69 million contracts versus about almost 4.5 million this time a year ago. So hot stuff. You can check that out. If you follow us on Twitter, we tweet that out. You can follow the folks at OCC. They have all that data for you as well. In terms of data on the earnings front, you're not really getting a hell of a lot unless you're really excited. This is the name I was waiting for. This is when I joke about Oracle, but this is the name where you know you're on the dregs of the season and the season is done. Because our old pal Helen of Troy is this week before the bell on Thursday. How long ago did we first start joking about this one? Helen of Troy, listeners, popping off before the bell on Thursday. That is truly the end of the earnings season. So we're all waiting to re-rack all the numbers as we keep on rolling into a little bit of the old odd block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody, let's talk some weird, some wild, and some just maybe wonderful activity. Let's find out, listeners. Let's kick things off. Let's go to Clover Health Investments Corp. Ticker symbol Clove, C-L-O-V. Haven't talked about them in a little bit. Healthcare company, obviously, you probably heard of them. 288 today, up 32 cents or 12.3%. So popping hard today for Clover Health. You don't see these healthcare companies moving this much in a day very often. Year to date, it's been a rough one. They're off about 8%. Just year to date. If you go all the way out of calendar year, though, different story. They were trading $1.33 a year ago, so they're up 1.5 or about 116% on the year. Even if they did top out back in January at nearly $5, $4.87, which is why they look so bad year to date. They kicked off the year at their apex, so that's always going to look rough on a year-to-date chart. And it seems like Mr. Rock Lobster, somebody's coming in feeling their oats on Clover Health. They said, how are those Jan 4 halves? They got 19 cents at 24. They said, I will pay 24 cents, good sir. 6,000 times. And then they came back and did more. And then they came back and did more. And then they came back and did more. A total of 16,000 had traded by the time we started the show. Maybe more have gone up since then. I'll have to go check. But Mr. Rock Lobster, sir, Clover Health, Jan 4 halves, 24 cents, about 16,000 times. What say you, sir?
Clover Health, the name that warms my heart. Have we actually done COLV? I feel like that is a potential one we've done before, but
we have, but it's been a little. I mean,
they're buying some duration. It's a $2.82 stock, so the Viceroy, God rest his soul, would not quite be shaking his head. He might be shaking his fist from up there. He might be listening to the show and saying, "Hey, why do they keep buying these calls?" I can see why somebody might want to buy them. At least from a duration point of view, I don't think they're terrible. And they are up substantial. They're up a dime on them already. So I think, price is right. This might want to be one of those cases that might prove the Viceroy adage wrong, because they're up some pretty good money on them. So maybe they're going to have a breakthrough drug here soon, or whatever they're going to do. Clover Health Investment, whatever. Interesting. I'm just going to say physician enablement technology company. Very, very, very interesting. Yeah, it's not just not a rando biotech. They actually have revenue and stuff. So I don't know. This is not too bad to me. Plus, it is our day one test winner. Up money on day one.
you do like those. I went and did some digging while you were talking. The last time we chatted about these, it was myself and it was Mr. Matt from Orats on Options Oddities back in March of 2023. Last time we chatted about Clover Health. At the time, somebody was buying the one calls, Mr. Rock Lobster. The stock was 85 cents. Someone paid 11 cents for the one calls expiring in May. So they had a little over a month to go. And there were earnings on May 8th. I remember Matt at the time did not like those. And looks like they ended up kind of breaking. Maybe, actually, no, the stock went out right around $1. So they kind of lost their money on those. So that would definitely be a Viceroy special. Sub $1 stock buying options on that. But yeah, it's been a little while since we've talked. Our old pal Clover. So maybe they're back.
$1 to $3 though. That's something.
It has done that since. Listeners, you like these 24 cents? Are you down for a little nibble, a little sprinkle on our old pal Clover Health? Someone's sprinkling to the tune of, at that point, it's more than a sprinkle. It's a flood. And you got 16,000 going up of anything out there. As we keep on rolling, listeners, let's see what else we got that's lighting up our tape out here today. Listeners, let's go out to, I do believe this is a newcomer. This is Bit Digital Inc., ticker symbol BTBT, BitBit. 345 today, up half a buck or 17.3%. So popping hard out here today. They are betting big on Ethereum. Oh, they're a miner. They got 100,000 ETH reserves. Well, lately betting on Ethereum has been a dumpster fire. Maybe last month and a half notwithstanding, it's been a rough road. Ethereum, quite often, for a lot of this year, has been the worst performing asset that we track on the futures rundown. But, wow, a lot of action out here. So, yeah, 49 cents today. On the year, this one actually is still off about 35 cents or about 9%. If you don't take into account this dramatic swing they've had over the past week. They were trading $2 just a week ago, which again makes sense if they're heavy into ETH mining. ETH has been a bit of a dumpster fire so far the past year and a half, so it makes sense that their chart would be in the red. They got as high as 5 3/4 back in November of last year. I'm guessing on a lot of that crypto optimism post-election, and that was all she wrote. Let's see, what did our Eye of Sauron find out here today? They went out to the AUG 3/2 expiring on the 1st. So these are in the weeklies, listeners. And they got a market of 60 cents at 75 when the stock was a little bit higher, 369. So that might be their first ouchie here. And they said, how are these calls? They got 60 cents at 75. They said, you know what, good sir, I will pay 75 cents for the privilege of buying 3,000 of those AUG 3/2. The date is interesting, expiring on the 1st, because that does not get you earnings. Earnings are on August 18th. So it looks like they're trying to avoid earnings. Mr. Rock Lobster, I know you love yourself some Ethereum miners. What are your thoughts on these AUG 3/2 for 75 cents? Pretty rich.
Ethereum miners. You know what? I'm pretty sure Tosaw is going to add this to the triple income fund. An Ethereum miner.
Love me some Ethereum miners.
That's why he's being so quiet. He's hastily adding them to their portfolio as we speep.
He's as fast as he could get those little Ethereum coins in his wallet.
Ethereum miners. I mean, I have
He's
to
a
get
little
special
cheerier today now that he got Mickey Mantle.
I have to get special permission from my compliance to get a higher position in the Ethereum miners.
You know, basically, in Bitcoin stock probably has some kind of potential. Let's see here. Yeah, they're buying the 3.5 for 75 cents, although they are down on them already. You know, it's 150 vol on a $3.5 stock. I don't, again, price-wise, not terrible. They're buying themselves a little time. They're buying it for August 1st. August 01. 3.5 call. 45.6. So, yeah, they're getting kind of smoked on these. It's not my favorite. I don't think the calls are a bad way to play a stock like this as a trade, but they don't make me happy being down on day one. And Again, pretty high vol, although $3.50 stock. I'm meh on these ones, to be honest. Meh.
And they're not cheap. 75 cents for those bad boys. I think the Rock Lobster, or I should say the Rock Lobster, the Viceroy would definitely raise an eyebrow on those. Looks like they had an equity offering. They raised $172 million in that equity offering, which they immediately turned around and pumped into ETH, which could be a questionable strategy given how well ETH has performed of late. They also dumped 280 Bitcoin and plowed that into ETH. So they've increased their holdings in ETH from 24,000 to about 100,000 now. So roughly fourfold increase in their ETH holdings. They say they believe ETH has the ability to rewrite the entire financial system. Well, I guess you better. If they say they want to be if you want to be the world's largest ETH holding company, then I guess you better believe in ETH. Wow. Okay. More power to you. I have a little ETH. I wouldn't mind seeing it back around 4K or above, but my goodness. That's some commitment to the cause there. Are you buying what they're selling here, listeners? ETH has been a troubled asset, to put it mildly, over the last year and a half, and they're doubling down, putting their money where their mouth is. Let's get out of here on the name we just talked about. This is CORZ Scientific, ticker symbol CORZ, C-O-R-Z. I was just talking about them popping into our top 10. They're trading 14.88 right now, off 312 or 17.33%. So not exactly doing well. They've been caught up in a lot of drama of late with Google and everything else. They're still up $4.50 or 43% over the past year. They got as high as, looks like, 1863 back in November, and looks like they flirted with it again just this past week. And they were as low as 620 back on April 21st. So they've had quite the range out there. A lot of stuff going on with this $9 billion deal with CoreWeave and CORZ Scientific. A lot of things going on out here. And somebody came in this morning and said, July 18s. How are these bad boys? Expiring on the 11th. So expiring at the end of this week. They got 15 cents at 16. Wildly tight. The stock was 15.37 at the time. So that's a pretty tight market for these bad boys. They said, you know what? I will pay 16.7 cents. So through your offer, obviously, to get 2,000 done of these July 18s. Kind of like our earlier one, they kept coming back. A total of 24,000 of these bad boys had traded by the time we started the show. So July 18s for around 16 cents. CORZ Scientific. That's 18 by the end of the week, Mr. Rock Lobster. They're not messing about. What do you think?
Is there a deal stock or something? It's down 3% today. Something could be going on here. Although 18 calls, so they're already down on these. There is a ton of paper in here, so there's some kind of news, something big going on. Don't know what it is. It did go from 12 to 18. It looks like there's some takeover buzz, and now there's a little bit of a pullback. An interesting shock. I don't know if I'd buy the calls where the stock just was. Even if you finished at 18 at the end of the week, your calls aren't going to be worth a whole lot. So it's not my favorite purchase for what they're trying to achieve. It is a cheap shot. It could work, but as of right now, I would say not my favorite type of trade on a bounce. Buying out of the money calls with a week to go is not easy.
Yeah, looks like they just signed an all-stock deal, listeners, for $9 billion in an all-stock deal. And this deal looks like it's crushing the stock of both stocks today. They're both taking a hit on this deal. So that's what's causing the stock to crater out there today. A lot of drama around this CoreWeave of late and this CORZ Scientific. So yeah, CoreWeave is going to acquire a lot of cores. A lot of cores going back and forth. Going to acquire CORZ Scientific, all-stock deal. $9 billion and stock of both taking a whooping. Are we going to take a whooping in the strategy block? I guess let's find out, listeners.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the Strategy Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Strategy Block, the portion of the show where we break down what the heck is going on the strategy front. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what you got in store for us today?
Well, I want to go through the importance of getting the right fit for your covered call selection as opposed to just going with the best possible premium. So the first thing that I did is I decided to come up with what I would feel, for me personally, would be the highest premium that I could find, but yet the worst possible fit for me as an investor. And so that led me to ticker symbol IBIT, the Bitcoin ETF. And so on there, in looking at it, currently IBIT is trading at $61.38, and you can sell the 62 August calls, just a little over 5 weeks, for $3, and let me just bring it up here, for roughly $3. That's almost a 5% rate of return on just the premium itself for 39 days. Now, premium-wise, no question, that's a great deal. And it's something to where if you do that every month and Bitcoin never moves, then you have a 60% annualized, over 60% in premium coming in over the year. Sounds really exciting, doesn't it? Well, here's the problem. Anyone who's listened to this show probably more than once would realize that IBIT is not a very good fit for me from the standpoint of an underlying with which you believe in. So that's why I think it's important to have an understanding of where things would be on one side of the pendulum, as well as understanding where it can be on the other side. Now, let's say that we were to try and find something to where it's really not going to be a ton of movement or a ton of premium with wherever we were going with it. And for that, let's go with, up on my screen here, let's take us to ticker symbol SHY. SHY is a very stable ETF. It's the 1 to 3 year government treasury bond and ETF, currently trading at $82.40 per share. And for the month of August, that same time frame, we could actually get an 83 call paying us 10 cents. Now, that's something that I would say is on the other end of the spectrum, to where, yes, it's a very stable underlying. I wouldn't have a problem with owning SHY if that's in the conservative section of the portfolio. But that's something to where it's a little bit too boring for me, and the risk reward would be a little bit too conservative. I don't know if I would want, well, I shouldn't say I don't know, I wouldn't own an $82.40 underlying and sell a covered call on it for 10 cents. It just doesn't make sense to me with what I'm trying to do. If I wanted to own this holding as something to be fairly liquid and a way with which to park some short-term cash, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But as a covered call trade, I don't think that's something where I would want to do that. So with that, I think it's very important that you know what is your middle ground. And so the middle ground with which I use for my clients and for myself are typically stocks that are in our triple income portfolio, stocks that would be not necessarily ginormous premium selling stocks, but also stocks that aren't going to be just so boring that just thinking about them puts you to sleep. So I think it's important that you have that middle ground when selecting where you're going to sell your premium, because it's kind of like the three bears. This soup's too cold, this soup's too hot. You need to find that Goldilocks soup saying this soup is just right. And that's what I think it's important to find for you as a trader or an investor. And that is my strategy block for today, July 7th.
All right, listeners, now it's time for a real quick mail block.
It's time to take your seat on the All-Star panel as we read your emails, tweets, Facebook messages, website comments, and much more. It's time for the mail block.
All right, listeners, let's go check in on some of what you folks have been weighing in on right now. We put out a flash poll at the start of the show about those VIX July 17 puts. So they're trading for size today for around 30 cents. That price, you buyer, seller as part of vertical, or you're just out on VIX right now. Exactly half of you, 50%, want to buy those bad boys for 30 cents. 25% want to sell them, but only as part of a vertical, so risk mitigated. 12.5% each tie for third between selling them straight up and you're out on VIX right now. Heading out to our actual question of the week for this week, we're asking, we're heading into the second half of the year, which asset class do you think has the most upside as we head out into the second half of 2025? Is it equities? Is it gold and metals? Is it fixed income or some other asset class? We've already got write-ins for small caps and others, which I would put that under the equities umbrella, but nonetheless, that is a specific call out. Mr. Rock Lobster, sir, what are you feeling? Which of these asset classes has the most upside second half of the year? And which way do you think our audience is going? Mr. Rock Lobster, that would be you, sir.
That would be me with I thought I was doing pretty good on the mute button, but apparently not. I stocks. I'm going to go stocks till the end of the year. That's what I believe. I don't think any of the Bitcoin. I think that it's weird, but I think it's. I'm just going to say that I'm going to say it's peaked.
It's peaked.
Yeah, I'm going Bitcoin at 100,000 that's it.
Peak Bitcoin. Okay.
But I think equities are the thing that's going to will outperform to the end of the year.
Mr. Uncle Mike, same question for you. Equities, gold, metals, fixed income, or other, and then which way is our audience going?
I think equities and equities. I think equities are going to outperform, and I think the audience agrees with me on this one.
Not even sneaking in a little precious metals. You're a metals head out there. All right. Well, 57.1% of the audience agrees with both of you. 28.6% going the gold and metals route. 14.3% for fixed income. Like we said, we have some write-ins for small caps and others. It just went live right as the show started. That will be our actual question of the week, listeners. So stay tuned over there at Options to make your voice heard as we keep on rolling and go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to Around the Block, the portion of the show where we tell you what we're keeping an eye on until our next episode on Thursday. Mr. Rock Lobster, we start with you, sir. What are you keeping an eye on until the Thursday episode?
Well, we've got this July 9th, now August trade thing. And Trump just slapped 25% tariffs on Japan and Korea, our two biggest allies in the East. But stocks are down barely 1%. I believe the last time they started talking that, we were down 3, 4, 5, 8, 10%. So maybe this is going to start to become a nothing burger. But I think that's it until earnings start rolling out for the banks end of this week, beginning of next week.
And Mr. Uncle Mike, same question for you, sir. What are you keeping an eye on until the Thursday episode?
I want to see if we can hit new all-time highs. Would love to say my thing on Thursday, Kool-Aid Man style, as you said last week, and seeing if the bonds are going to do anything, because we have some selling going on in bonds at the same time as stocks, and it always leads to an interesting next day when you see them both moving the same way.
All right, everybody, that music means we are done for the old OB. My voice survived. Can it survive another go-around in the crypto rundown? I guess we'll find out in a little bit. I'll be joined by our good buddy, Mr. Greg Magadini, from All Things Crypto Analytics and Amber Data. I wonder if he has some interesting thoughts about that big ETH deal we were just talking about as well. Maybe we'll get to that coming up on the Crypto Rundown. Stay tuned. That'll be coming up at the normal time of 2 p.m. Central. If you're hanging out in the chat, we'll put some fun stuff in there. We'll be back in a bit to join you and all that good stuff. But before we go, Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, if folks want more Uncle Mike goodness in their life, where should they go? What should they do?
Check out my website, stcharleswealth.com. Book an appointment with me. We'd love to have a conversation with any of our audience members if you're looking for a financial advisor who appreciates the option product, as well as tax planning, and Mickey Mantle for that matter.
Mickey Mantle? You're going to buy a big Mickey Mantle jersey now, aren't you? Maybe he's the beginning of the turnaround. Uncle Mike clawing his way out of the hole. 1 point, one Mickey Mantle at a time. Mr. Rock Lobster, where should folks go if they want more Rock Lobster goodness in their life?
Yeah. 888-TRADE-01. Hey, you want to learn trade volatility, trade option products, learn how to buy options well. Come to Option Pit. We've been doing it for 15 years now. And we're getting bigger every year. So come on over and we trade all the stuff, right? Put on all the positions that we talk about. So if you want to learn how to trade options, come on over.
OptionPit.com, the place to go. We got to get on out of here. I'll be back in an hour. No rest for the wicked listeners to talk all things crypto. Then back with our usual array of content. Hopefully, I'm feeling a lot better as the week progresses. I'm fighting my way out, listeners, just for you folks. Back again, of course, on Thursday, Flowmaster in hand. Next episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.